This is David Saltz, and I'm the director of the Virtual Vaudeville project. And I'll be showing you a quick demonstration of the Virtual Vaudeville's Theater FlyThru app, which is accessible on www.virtualvaudeville.com. Unfortunately, the app is built in Shockwave, which is no longer supported by most operating systems. So I'm showing it to you now on a computer that's running an old version of Windows XP. What you see here is a model of the Union Square Theater as we imagined it looked in 1895, which is the year of our performance simulation. And what you see on the right side of the screen is a description of the theater at that time, and in particular, all of the evidence that we drew on in trying to create this rendering as accurately as we possibly could, given that there were no photographs or even drawings of the theater during the period we were trying to reconstruct. So you can look at this note here and see detailed information about exactly what evidence we did have to draw on. And these notes are still available. They're straight HTML on the Virtual Vaudeville site or through links actually in the YouTube version of Virtual Vaudeville. All right, so the way this application works is there are a series of navigational tools on the bottom of the screen that we created. The first one simply lets you jump to different parts of the theater. So you can look at the theater from the perspective of, say, the center aisle, or you can look at one of the boxes. You can go up to the galleries, etc. Here we're way up at the top of the theater. This is a nice view of this area here over the stage. And you can also fly through and around the theater. So this tool here lets you rotate. So I can rotate my view and look up and down and all around from whatever perspective I am currently in. So if I jump here, I can do the same thing. Now I'm looking around from a position sitting in one of the boxes. A sort of cute thing we have here too, if you hit the space bar, you can open the front curtain and close the front curtain. You can also use the magnifying glass to zoom forward or zoom back. And then we can look around at the audience. There, up and down. And then you can use this tool here to move right, to move left, and basically to walk through the theater as if you're really there. And all of these controls are provided with keyboard shortcuts too. So like a video game player, you can walk around the theater and move anywhere you like. One of the most important features of this application are the hypermedia notes. So by clicking on our hypermedia tool, you can click on any part of the theater and find out exactly what evidence we use to reconstruct that part of the theater. So for example, if I wanted to know about the main act curtain, I click on it and I see right here exactly where we found in the in archives an actual period curtain that we used for this. If I open the curtain, then I can click on the city drop that we used for our Frank Bush routine, and here we get the information here, including the various places where the drops might have hung, and different images of drops and references for more research. If I click on the ornamentation here, you will see a drawing that we used very heavily that was actually based on a slightly earlier version of the theater before its final renovation, but gave us some really good information about what the ornamentation would have been like in the architecture of the theater. And then in order to fill these in, we went to still existing theaters that have been reconstructed. This was from the Ohio Theater in Cincinnati, and found similar images, photographed them, and created textures. So that's actually what's happening there. And of course I can zoom in to get a better look at that detail. If I click on, say, the boxes, then I get information on the demographics of who would be sitting in the boxes and how we reconstructed those boxes based on the New Victory Theater in New York City, and so on and so forth. You can get information on every little detail of the theater. Here's information on the sconces that we reconstructed based again on that line drawing, information on these panels up here which were one of the most interesting elements of the rendering that we were working with here. And in order to reconstruct those, we actually used the Wainwright panel, since the images were very much in the style of Sullivan's Wainwright building. And we took specific ornaments from the Wainwright building and incorporated those into the theater here. So you could continue to explore and find all sorts of different details. Here's the painting that we used in the center. So there was a painting over the proscenium that was in the image. Almost certainly with the renovation they would have changed the specific painting. So again, we found an appropriate period painting and justified our specific choice of that. So you can tell through this app exactly which elements were based on specific archival information, which elements we recreated by extrapolating from other information, and where we were creative with different details. So this was the virtual Vaudeville fly-through, and I'm very much hoping to recreate it in HTML, since obviously the files all still exist. So using new tools that hopefully will be longer lasting, we intend to recreate this so that the virtual vaudeville project, which was originally created between 2004 and 2006, can continue to be used by future generations of students and scholars. All right, thank you very much for joining me today.